What's up guys, it's Trevito back at it again with another in-depth guide. Whether you refer to him as Zhongli, Rex Lapis, Morax, GeoDaddy, or the CEO of GEO, the utility of his kit is hard to ignore. From changing overall quality of life, incredible support options, or unique DPS style builds, the King of Leeway brings more than just Osmanthus wine to the table. In this guide I will discuss his talents, constellations, weapons, playstyles, team comps, and rotations. Please appreciate my efforts as I do everything humanly possible to refrain from making jokes. Let me know in the comments below if you're pulling for him, what con you're aiming for, and why. With that being said, let's get right into it. Starting off with Playstyles, the father of Genshin can fit multiple roles. His abilities scale off of HP and attack, so depending on which option you choose will determine which direction you want to take him. He can be a shield bot, a burst support DPS, or an on-field physical DPS, allowing for diverse gameplay. When it comes to his shield bot build, the sole purpose of this build is to have 100% uptime on your shielding, allowing you to focus on the DPS of your other team members. Luckily, this is a very simple build that is easily achievable even as a completely free to play, and for most beginner players this should be your initial go-to. Your focus are two things: HP and energy recharge. That's it. Focus HP percent main stats and ER substats with a goal of a minimum of 40k HP. The upside is unbreakable shields, while the downside is a loss of personal damage. Next, we're going to talk about Burst Zhongli. As the name states, this playstyle is primarily focusing on his burst damage. You can lean towards a support burst build where you would focus on a Geogob, HP Sands, and Crit Circlet. While with the DPS burst build, you'll focus on all-out personal damage by swapping his sands to attack percent. The preference is up to you. These builds offer personal damage and amazing crowd control. Next, we're going to talk about on-field physical DPS. While not my number one pick, this build can be surprisingly underrated. It combines a focus on attack and physical damage that are complemented by his rapid normal attack speed. If you're interested in exploring other options for him, this playstyle may be for you. While I do not recommend him for an on-field playstyle for most, due to him offering so much value as a support, this is a viable option and can be incredibly underrated. More on this later. Moving on to talent, normal attack, Rain of Stone. GeoDaddy's normal attack does a 6-hit combo with a gorgeous animation. The highlight to this skill is the incredibly fast ability to spam, allowing for faster Favonius procs as well as enhancing his ability as an on-field driver. Elemental skill, Dominus Lapidus. This is why he is the CEO. Zhongli's elemental skill has two abilities. When pressing his skill, he places a Geo pillar that pulsates with Geo damage. This pillar scales off of HP and can resonate with multiple Geo constructs simultaneously. I will discuss this more later in the video. Holding his E releases a quick burst of AoE Geo damage and places his pillar. It creates a shield that scales off of his max HP, as well as greatly increasing interruption resistance and providing 20% all-type resistance shred in a small AoE. Note, this ability does not apply to players in co-op, only yourself. The skill offers an unreal amount of value to your team, shield, shred, synergy. The ability works with almost any team comp, making him one of the most universally used units in the game. His shield is easily considered god tier, eliminating the need for a healer, and has a 50% ability to generate a particle every single tick, allowing for additional energy regeneration. Important to note that his skill has a duration of 20 seconds with a cooldown of 12, allowing for 100% uptime. Moving on to Zhongli's burst. Much like its name, the creator of Mora drops a huge meatball of Geo damage that applies petrification to enemies in a large AoE. His victims are unable to move for a short duration, and this time period extends based on each talent level. While watching Zhongli drop his meatballs and disabling the enemy is incredibly satisfying, keep in mind it has a long burst duration and in often cases can lead to an overall DPS loss. Moving on to Zhongli's passives. Resonant Waves. When his shield takes damage, it will increase in strength. Each hit increases the shield strength by 5% up to 5 times. This passive drastically increases the shield strength he offers, allowing you to absorb a ton more damage. GeoDaddy's A4 passive, Dominance of Earth. When we're talking about dominance and Zhongli, a lot of emotions are brought to mind. Unfortunately, that's not what this skill is about. This Ascension offers a straight up buff to his kit. Zhongli deals bonus damage based on his max HP. Normal charge and plunging attack damage is increased by his max HP. His shield is increased by his max HP, and most importantly, his meatballs deal additional damage equal to a whopping 33% of his max HP. This passive is quite valuable in the sense that it makes Zhongli's HP scaling synergize even more with his kit than it already did. The most significant part of this passive is the damage increase of his burst, making it hit even harder when optimizing the talent. While I do my absolute best to cover as much as possible, there are always details or variations to building Zhongli. Please comment below with any questions you guys have. Moving on to Constellations, C1 increases the maximum number of pillars his elemental skill can create to 2. This can be a very useful constellation as it will increase your overall energy regeneration by planting 2 pillars. It provides additional damage and allows you to have 100% uptime on abilities such as Tenacity of Millith. Constellation 2 grants his burst the ability to activate his shield, which covers your entire team, co-op included. This allows for regular uptime, especially when playing with friends. The downside is that it does not cast his pillar, which is needed to proc abilities such as Tenacity of Millith that activate based off geoticks. On the upside, you can quickly press his E to drop his pillar after casting his burst. Constellation 3 and 5. C3 increases his elemental skill by 3. C5 increases his elemental burst by 3. While not necessary, both offer a notable increase to shield damage and overall burst DPS. Note that after level 10, Zhongli's Petrification burst duration will no longer increase from talent leveling. Petrification burst duration has a nice ring to it. Constellation 4. C4 is a direct buff to our favorite Rock Archon's meatballs. His burst gains 20% AoE as well as increases the petrification duration by 2 seconds, offering a max of 6 seconds of crowd control. While this may not sound like a lot, the increased petrification and AoE application adds up to allow cleaner, easier rotations. C6, last but not least, if you have managed to open the wallet for this wine-drinking, rock-loving, people-pleasing Archon, you will not be disappointed. I stated earlier that Zhongli's shield allows you to not run a healer. If that was not enough to hold your teams down, his C6 converts 40% of incoming damage to HP for your on-field character as long as your shield is active. This further increases his utility as a support. Keep in mind though that characters like Hu Tao, who benefit from having lower HP, are actually hurt by this constellation. Moving on to artifacts. When it comes to artifacts, Jonathan Lee has multiple options with a few outweighing the others. As usual, priority is based on what type of build you're focusing on. With that being said, my top draft pick is Tenacity of Millith. This set feels tailor-made for Zhongli. The 2-piece offering HP for his overall scaling, the 4-piece set synergizing perfectly with his kit. His pillar not only shields your characters, but pulsates with geoticks, which allows Tenacity of Millith's passive to have 100% uptime. This passive not only increases attack, but his shield strength, optimizing his overall support capabilities. 4-piece Noblesse Oblige. This set is nothing to sneeze at and is an essential component to any team comp. If no one is running this on your team, this can be a great selection for Zhongli. The burst damage directly affects his personal DPS output as well as buffing 20% attack for your entire team, further enabling his abilities as a top tier support. With that being said, if someone else can run this, I would still prioritize Tenacity of Millith for maximum potential. 4-piece Archaic Petra, an extremely niche build, the 2-piece offering direct geo damage and the 4-piece being viable in specific team comps. This set requires him to pick up the crystallized shards to benefit from the 4-piece skill. I personally do not recommend this set or farming this domain, but it is an option if you already have it. 4-piece Pale Flame. While a more niche build as it is only good for physical DPS style, this set offers 25% physical bonus at its 2-piece, with its 4-piece adding 18% attack and an additional 25% physical damage when it's fully stacked. Alternative options can be 2-piece Pale Flame, 2-piece Bloodstain, and you should prioritize which based on substats. 2-piece options. These options are worth noting, not only because they offer great value, but because a 2-piece set is typically easier to farm for good substats than a 4-piece, and in certain cases they can outperform the 4-piece choices. While the standard 2-piece HP and 2-piece attack options are obvious, other sets such as 2-piece Noblesse, 2-piece Petra for a burst support or DPS are incredibly viable. Another great variant is 2-piece Tenacity of Millith and 2-piece Noblesse. 4-piece Instructor. A lot of beginner travelers may ask, what about early sets? If so, you're in luck. 4-piece Instructor is an incredibly underrated set and often can add a ton of value to your team. These are pieces you will pick up along your grind, leading to an extremely viable option for an early Zhongli build. If he sits in a reaction-based team, he can proc the 4-piece ability regularly and help further enhance your overall team DPS. Fortunately, GeoDaddy has numerous options for artifacts, allowing for an easier build with a low investment. If you have more questions about artifact selection, make sure to comment below. I do my absolute best to respond to everyone. When it comes to talent priority, his kit scales off of 2 stats, HP and attack. HP not only increases shield strength, but in multiple scenarios increases overall DPS. Attack increases normal attack and burst damage. With that being said, his stat priority focuses around what build you're aiming for. If it's a shield bot, HP Gob, HP Circlet, HP Sands. Easy peasy. If it's a burst support, Geo Gob, HP Sands, Crit Circlet. If it's a burst DPS or physical build, Geo Gob, Attack Sands, and Crit Circlet. Moving on to energy needs. Zhongli may have a lot of needs, but energy recharge is not one of them. With an intense cost of 40 energy, maintaining his burst on cooldown is extremely easy. If he's the only Geo unit, aim for 150 to 160%. If he's running a double Hydro plus Geo team, 120% is more than enough. GeoDaddy's burst may have a beautiful aesthetic that offers damage and crowd control, but don't forget in many situations it is an overall DPS loss due to the long animation time. When we're talking about weapons, let's kick it off with the 5-star options. Zhongli is undeniably audibly and visually pleasing, but his aesthetic is not complete without a proper weapon. Hoyoverse has offered us a signature weapon, Vortex Vanquisher. This not only is underwhelming, but nears the level of full-on disrespect. The positive upside is that this 5-star weapon looks fantastic on him. The downside is it offers less value than his best 3-star option. While I do not recommend pulling this weapon, if you have it, it's usable. Keep in mind you must stay on field with him and auto-attack to receive the full buff from the passive. Primordial Jadewing Spear. This weapon offers a crit stat stick with high base attack. Unfortunately, you will not really see the benefit of the passive here, so keep that in mind. Staff of Homa, easily the Geo Archon's best in slot. This weapon synergizes with his kit perfectly, from high base stats, a massive crit damage boost, a big HP percent buff, and a massive attack boost based on HP. Zhongli benefits from almost every single ability this weapon has to offer. It not only buffs his personal damage, but his support capabilities as well. Moving on to 4-star weapons. Favonius Lance, a go-to weapon for Zhongli, and his best overall support option. This weapon covers most of his ER needs and feeds particles to the rest of your team. He can proc this ability easily, but keep in mind it requires you to build crit rate to increase the chances. Note, while this weapon is an incredible support option, it is one of his lowest personal damage choices. Deathmatch. For a low spender, this can be a great option to assist with a solid crit ratio. This weapon offers high crit rate as well as an easily obtainable attack and defense buff from his passive. If you're spending on the battle pass, this can be a great option. The Catch. While this weapon is very usable on Zhongli, giving multiple stats like ER, crit rate, and burst damage, don't forget we only get one, and often this weapon is better suited on another character. Crescent Pike, a craftable weapon from the blacksmith. The Crescent Pike is the ideal choice for a physical DPS build. It offers a high amount of physical damage with a massive normal and charged attack buff at 40% and refinement 5. This weapon is completely free to play, but does require luck to get the billet drop from weekly bosses. It is specifically used for an on-field playstyle. Last but not least, Black Tassel. Hands down the best free-to-play option and the go-to for a shield bot build. It provides a massive amount of HP percent, further enhancing his shield strength, and is easily obtainable. Check your bag because most likely you have a few of these laying around. Moving on to team comps. Zhongli may not be the #1 support pick for any team, but he certainly is an asset to many. If you're a mobile player, he can change your entire experience of the game. Mono Geo. One of my personal favorites. This team includes Ito or Noel, Albedo, Zhongli, and Goro. This team synergizes together incredibly with Zhongli offering heavy interruption resistance and an overall low ER need. Yoimiya. Both characters excel with the addition of Zhongli. This team consists of Yoimiya, Xingqiu, Yellen, and Zhongli. Again, the reduced interruption allows Yoimiya to hit her full attack combo for maximum DPS. Xiao Geobros. Xiao, the tallest man in the game. This team consists of Xiao, Albedo, Zhongli, and Jin. While Zhongli is not as necessary on a Xiao team as he is for an archer, he offers a lot of benefits. A near unbreakable shield, reduced interruption, damage shred, and easy uptime for the tenacity of middle of the set. A very solid addition to any Xiao comp. Geo Bros. You may have heard of this combo before, but it consists of Zhongli and Albedo. The two synergize together amazingly and take advantage of the nice buff from Geo Resonance. These two can be fit in multiple teams together. My personal favorite Xiao team. It includes Xiao, Farazan, Zhongli, and Bennett. Zhongli offers the same benefits as listed before, and this team creates one of, if not the best Xiao comps in the game. Hu Tao Double Hydro, an incredible team comp with amazing synergy. It consists of Hu Tao, Xingqiu, Yelan, and Zhongli. With Hu Tao prioritizing being under 50% HP, this allows you to have an unbreakable shield, keep her HP under 50%, and heal with her ult when needed. Zhongli Taser. In this team, Zhongli would serve as an on-field driver. It consists of Zhongli, Fischl, Xingqiu, and Beta. Ideally, you want to run a physical Zhongli here with his hyper-fast attacks, quickly proccing Xingqiu's rain swords. Last but not least, the new Fontaine teams. Neuvillette Zhongli. This team consists of Neuvillette, Fischl, Kazuha, and Zhongli. He synergizes perfectly with C0 Neuvillette. The Hydro Dragon requires a copious amount of on-field time. At C0, he can be knocked out of his charge attacks extremely easy, leading to a massive loss of your sanity and overall DPS. Zhongli completely solves the issue, allowing for easy gameplay and maximum damage. Zhongli Hyperbloom. The addition of Dendro has offered tons of extremely powerful and fun comps. This team consists of Neuvillette, Kuki, Nihida, and Zhongli. He offers extreme comfortability, allowing you to not worry about playing defensively and primarily focus on heavy damage. Lini Mono Pyro. This team consists of Lini, Xiangling, Bennett, and Zhonglong. Characters like Lini, who require a significant amount of on-field time, see a massive benefit from Geodaddy's interruption resistance and overall shielding. Navia Zhongli. What better way to synergize the brand new character Navia with an absolute banger of a support? This team consists of Navia, Farina, Zhongli, and Bennett. Together, they offer Geo Resonance for increased shielding, a damage increase, and Geo Shred. Rock Daddy, as always, allows for comfortable gameplay with the ability for 100% uptime from Tenacity of Millith, synergizing excellently with Navia. Important to note, if you run Farina, you will ideally need Maiden's Beloved on Benny to maximize on her kit. Swapping Farina with Fischl, Rosaria, Yelan, Xingqiu, or Xiangling is also a perfectly good option here and would not require a higher healing set on Bennett. The last thing I wanted to cover was that with the addition of Farina to the game, we have seen an enormous amount of new team comps move their way into relevancy. With that being said, due to Farina's kit, it is often not best to run her with Zhongli and preferable to add a healer to play her optimally. While this is a big list of team comps, the options are endless. Make sure to comment below with any questions you have regarding additional options. The big question, is he a must-pull? While I don't often say that any character is a must, I do feel that for mobile players especially, this is not one to pass up. The Geo Archon can completely alter your playstyle and allow you to be on field without interruption. This can allow easy practice of rotations and completely change your gameplay when it comes to archers or the Abyss. As always, never spend unless you're in a position to, and if you do spend, be responsible. With that being said, Zhongli is an amazing addition to any roster and you will not be disappointed if you pick him up. Thank you guys so much for watching my Zhongli guide. The CEO of GEO is nothing short of a top-tier character. From his aesthetics to his overall support and damage capabilities, he is undeniably one of the best units in the game. If you're struggling in content in the game or looking for a more comfy playstyle, he can be a perfect addition to your team. If you made it this far, I truly appreciate you and I owe you the crispest of high fives. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I put a ton of time into making the absolute best and enjoyable content I can, and it helps me out more than you know. I wish everyone the best of luck on your pulls, and I'll see you in the next one.